name's Paul Jacovelli. I'm a forester working with unique land use. And the reason I'm talking to you is we're working in Uganda with UTGA with a project which we're going to explain to you, an exciting new project.
Thank you, and my name is John Nyaga from Kenya, also working for Unique Land Use, but based in Nairobi. I am an agroforester by training, and always managing climate change adaptation and mitigation projects in East Africa.
Good, so the reason we want to tell the world a little bit is about this exciting new project that we're doing, that Unique Land Use is doing with UTGA, the timber growers in Uganda. And it is exciting. You know, I've worked in many projects, but this one is the first time it's really focusing on native tree species, which we're going to explain a little bit about it, because we believe it's an exciting thing for Uganda, and also it's happening in Kenya with the nursery as well. But Uganda is ahead of the game, so this is the one we're proud of. Let me explain a little bit about the project. So the project is funded by the German government. Basically, the German government has set up a big fund called the International Climate Initiative, ICI. And under that project, they fund a lot of very practical projects which are, as it says, directly affecting the climate change problem that we have. And this one is targeting East Africa and 4 countries, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda and Ethiopia. But Uganda and Kenya are focused because it's generally been easier to work with a partner. So that's one of the things. We have to find a national partner, and we've came across UTGA as an ideal partner for this business. So that's the project. It's running for 5 years, started last year, 2024. And we're going to explain why it's so exciting that we've been active, and we're going to have some exciting things for people in Uganda to see and trees to buy.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Let's tell you more about Unique Land Use. So Unique Land Use is a consulting firm for sustainable forestry and agriculture, rural development and natural resource management. It has around 80-person team who are expert in forestry, agricultural experts, economists, policy experts, and social scientists. And it was established in 1998, and it's headquartered in Freiburg, Germany. But as you would also noted, it has experts across different countries. Myself in Kenya, we have experts in Uganda, India, Argentina, Colombia, and also the UK. It has over 25 years experience in conducting advisory services and analytics and investment support. Here in Uganda, it has also worked in a number of projects. More so, what we can point out here is it has supported a number of years to SPGS, that is providing technical support. It has also been involved in due diligence for various private forestry companies.
So, let me tell you a little bit about the project. I forgot to say the name of the project is Right Tree, Right Place, Seed. Right Tree, Right Place, Seed. Basically, it's promoting that you don't bother planting a tree unless you know where it's going and it's the right species. That's what is being promoted. Now, the project is led by C4 ICRAF, who many of you will have heard of, and also an organisation is in partnership, the BGCI, Botanic Gardens Conservation International. Those 2 organisations are more involved with the seed supply issue of the native trees, okay? So I'm not going to talk so much about that. We're going to talk about what Unique is doing with UTGA. Basically, we are in partnership to build a modern, profitable nursery raising quality native tree species. That's the bottom line. And it's not just talk, like many projects. We have a nursery. We have commissioned, in fact, yesterday, the nursery. Not quite ready for the public yet, but it's now up and running. We're now working with the management of UTGA to train on the management of the nursery. Now, John will explain to you a little bit what does it mean, a modern nursery. I just want to say, before that, the issue in Uganda, why is this project looking at native trees? Because we all know most people are planting eucalypts and pines for good reason, the money. They grow fast, You can get good seed. We know how to manage them silviculturally, how many trees per hectare. We know exactly in the nursery. We know how to weed them, to prune them. It's all worked out, not just in Uganda, but many countries, Brazil, South Africa, you name it. So we know them. But when you come to native trees, we know hardly anything about some of them, very little about the spacing, the seed collection, the storage. So this has held it back, I think, because many people, I know Uganda well, and many people they talk about native trees, and a lot of NGO projects want to focus on native trees. But they have a problem, many big companies and projects, is they can't get the supply of the native trees, of the species they want, and the quality is very poor. I mean, the quality, I'd say some nurseries can produce good seed, but generally, from what we've seen in the small nurseries around, is that the quality of some of them is very, very poor, especially the rooting quality. So what we're doing is we're going to show a demonstration of a modern nursery that can produce native trees, not hundreds of them in species, maybe 4 or 5 key species, but to grow them at scale, hundreds of thousands of uniform trees with a quality root especially, so that the trees in these nurseries will grow faster, they will grow better, you will get better survival. And that's proven in other countries. So we have to convince the growers in Uganda that this is a quality tree. So the project is tackling those two things. We're showing that native trees can be grown at scale and that we can produce a better quality tree. So John, what does it, just explaining briefly, what does a modern nursery, how does it differ from the traditional nursery which they know here?
Yeah, so thank you. And when we talk about tree nursery, we all know what comes to your mind. It's these roadside nursery or some small shed somewhere who is growing seedlings on the ground, where they use bucket to water their plants, or sometimes they may use the sprinklers. And what happens is that they're also using the plastic bags. But when we look at what we are calling as a modern nursery, and mark you for the raising the native tree species, here we are talking of something a bit different. Number one, you'll see seedling growing inside a shade net. Okay, and then inside the shade net, the seedlings are not on the ground, they are on raised beds. And what that does is that they are also in tubes, and it allows pruning of roots by air, or what we call aerial root pruning. Then that ensures that your seedlings are well hardened and also, in a way, will survive better after you transplant them. Then, in the same modern nursery, what you'll be able to see is this even spacing of the seedlings, because they are all in these predefined tubes and trays. So you will expect homogeneous type of seedlings coming out from this type of a nursery. Then there is better use of water and nutrients, because irrigation in this case it may be automated or semi-automated, but more importantly, it's not manual. It's by a system, maybe misters or sprinklers that is doing irrigation. So it allows you to have even distribution of water inside the net. Number two, it also minimizes the manual need for laborers to be watering the seedlings using the jerry cans. Then, so it's a sight to hold when you walk into a modern nursery, because we look into the working condition of the people in the nursery. They need to have better seating area. They need to have the net allows them to work not in the direct sunlight. It generally are just a good environment for the seedlings, for the people working there. And more importantly, the quality seedlings that come out of there are a better place to survive better in the field than from the traditional nurseries.
Great. Interesting. Let me tell you a story. Yesterday in the nursery, when we were demonstrating the sprinkler system with the company that helped us to build this nursery, the nursery workers at UTGA were all jumping up and down cheering, because it means that they don't have to do the manual watering for the lids for some days. Yeah. So that's one of the big things, like John said. So the labour can be doing other things. There's plenty other jobs in the nursery. Yeah. So where are we at with the nursery? The nursery is now built. It's this month we'll be building capacity with the staff. in the next couple of months. They've already sown the first batch of seedlings, some of which will be used by UTGA in their restoration work. Others we are with UTGA be looking for customers. But the main thrust then for the public will be for the October planting, where they will be looking for orders for seedlings. So with this sort of system, you can imagine it's a big investment. In the long run, it will be, we hope, profitable, but it will depend on convincing the growers, the customers, that this is a quality seedling and getting orders up front. This is important. Not just growing on spec like many nurseries do, but talking to the customers, large and small, to get forward orders and a deposit so they're confident in raising those trees. Now,
Wow.
that's a big question.
It is.
Okay, just briefly. I think, obviously, we're foresters. We're biased. We think forestry is very important, but I think the world is realizing slowly how important forestry is. Okay, now forestry, for me, it's got two strands. There's one is the sort of commercial plantation side, which is so important in the tropics. As you know, in Uganda, we're ahead of many countries in the region. I don't want to upset John, but definitely, the growing of the eucalypts and pines is really impressive in this country, and it's important for timber supply, creating a lot of jobs down the line, processing, but particularly for supply of timber, which is needed by any country, especially as developing economy. But then, of course, that's mostly exotic species. So on the other side, and John is more expert than me even, is the need of native species for the restoration, where the native trees have already been cut for various reasons.
Yeah, true. I agree with you, Paul. And we need to look, and coming back to Benny's question, is that we need to look at, if you ask me what will happen in East Africa in years to come, and this is a trend that we've seen over time, is that the fragmentation of land will continue. And now I want to speak in terms of agroforestry. Yeah? So what that means is that land, it's the space you have for agriculture or for trees is becoming small. And therefore, as we move forward, we have to be keen, and I think that's why this project came in, that we have to integrate species that would work well in the minimal space that we're going to have, looking into account that we don't want to also interfere with crop production. Okay, so we want to integrate the right trees at the right place and even for the right purpose. And this is key. And therefore, the future that we foresee is a future that there's high competition of space between the trees and the crop and the livestock and the people. So now, for the tree and agroforest and the foresters, we have to think wisely that what species should we put and where should we put it. I'm a big fan now, over time, because of Paul, of the commercial forestation. We can do the plantation, and at that point we have to have those species that will get the maximum output for those commercial spaces. But then when we talk to the most of other farmers, the smallholder farmers, then we have now at that point to think what are the right species. And that's how we come in this project, that we also have to think of native tree species. Are we missing out on a species that would be good for timber, for fruits, for that farmers can utilize in their small spaces? And also the same if you're undertaking restoration, large-scale restoration of, let's say, a degraded forest, natural forest, which are the key species that we should consider that retain the integrity of the forest. So those are the key things that we have to look into the future. So the future is complex. The future requires analysis. The future requires us to be proactive in deciding and picking the species that we need to plant. And that is key, the right tree at the right place for the right purpose.